Welcome to the Kingdom Business Breakthrough Podcast. We help entrepreneurs gain influence and favor by applying God's kingdom principles in their business and personal life. Welcome your host, Derek Ty.
Welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Business Breakthrough Podcast with your host, Derek Ty. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some things that I'm working on. It's almost Christmas. I can't believe it. And, I thought maybe I could inspire you a little bit and give you a little bit of updates on some things. So I haven't talked to you guys here in a few weeks with Thanksgiving and beginning of Christmas season, a trip out to San Diego for the 100X expansion conference out there, which was pretty amazing, doing some coaching training. And just generally having a bunch of stuff going on at the house here. But I wanted to make sure I got at least one more episode out before the end of the year. So this episode, we're going to be talking about kind of some things that I've been working on. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was my new book. So as a lot of you know, that I wrote a book this year called The Lord's Prayer for Entrepreneurs. And that book has been a lot of fun. I wrote it this year with the 100X publishing crew. Krista Dunk, my publisher, helped me with that. It's been a lot of fun to see people reading it. I was just at a work holiday Christmas party last night, and a couple of people that were sitting at the table actually had purchased the book, which I feel is a great honor to have that done. So anyway, I just was very thankful, and it was kind of fun to hear their thoughts about the book so far. So the new book that I'm writing is actually going to be a little different. This book is going to be about the real estate business. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about today on this podcast was how do you find leverage in your business? So over the last 15, 16 years of real estate entrepreneurship, I've found that there are seven levels or seven levers in the real estate business that I found to be most productive. So in the book right now, my goal is to have that manuscript done by the end of the month. I've got a bunch of real estate agents across the country that said they would read it, give me a kind of recommendations or some notes, and then I'd like to get that published first quarter of next year. But as I'm writing the book, it's made me think about other businesses, and some of you guys have many different types of real estate, or I'm sorry, not real estate, but other entrepreneurial ventures out there. So I'm going to give you a list of the top seven levers in that I'm finding in entrepreneurship, and I think you could apply these to your business as well. The first one is people. I don't know about you, but obviously it's not a good thing to say that you're leveraging people, because some people would feel like you're using people or you're manipulating them, or there's some kind of negative connotation to people leverage. But in my opinion, this is probably the biggest and greatest lever of all. If you can't learn to work with people, you need to learn human nature. You need to know, what people are thinking and how they're feeling, and be socially aware and emotionally aware. And then also, what are people's strengths that they can add to your life? So in my world, in the entrepreneurship world, I am not a great administrator. So I'm good at coming up with the ideas. I'm good with the parts of the business that are going to give me kind of the most fun. And I like starting new things. I like, actually I do show up every day for work. I kind of come in with my game face on, but in terms of like managing other people, that's not one of my strengths. So one of the key hires in my world here, in my entrepreneurship world, has been to hire an administrator, somebody that can manage the day-to-day tasks of running the business, kind of keeping an eye on other work that's going on, other vendors, employees, managing timelines, deadlines, tasks. But for me, that was the biggest lever I had to learn, was managing through people. I also found, too, that there was people that had complementary belief systems, worldviews, and when you get around people like that, it does keep you encouraged, and then when you encourage them, it helps them. So, basically the biggest lever of all is people. I mean, you've got to learn how to work with people, when to work with people, and then how they can, basically move your vision forward. That's a big one I talked about in my Lord's Prayer for Entrepreneurs book, is the vision part. So when you are expanding and growing an organization, a team, you really need to have a big enough vision for not just yourself, but for your community, your coworkers, and your clients. Those are the big 3 C's that I talk about. So the first one there is community. You want to make sure that you're increasing the value of the community, whether it's helping nonprofit organizations or, maybe you have a pet project or maybe you're into, helping the homeless or sex trafficking or, hungry kids or illiteracy. I mean, there's always something that, triggers you out there. I'd say that's part of the community, part of the vision. Like, what are you going to do to make your community a better place to live in? Second one there is clients or customers. So how are you going to make your clients or customers' welfare better after they've done business with you? In my world, in the real estate business, I know that I can get them a higher average sale price than the average agent. Statistically, I've done that for 15 years. I know that I can cut their days on market in about half of the average market agent. So in our market, just to give you kind of how that works, our average days on market for a home in Cincinnati, Ohio was about 39 days. And my team this year was averaging about 18 days. So the homes that we listed were selling about 50% faster, and we were statistically at about 1.5% more in the average sale price, the average sale price was actually much higher. We were at about $300,000 for our average sale price versus about $225,000 in our market. So those numbers may not make a lot of sense to you if you're not in Cincinnati real estate, but the key is that when I do engage with a client, I'm putting that in the lens of how can I help them? Well, if I'm going to get them more money in less amount of time, and I know with my team, they're high quality people, they're going to get back with them right away. There's less drama involved in the transaction. Those are all things that are going to make sure that my clients have a better experience. So that's the second C of the vision. And then third C is the co-workers. So my vision is to raise 5 net worth millionaires within my real estate team. So I want to see 5 people that become net worth millionaires within my lifetime here on the team. So if I accomplish those 3 vision C's, any vision I have for me personally in terms of wealth I want to generate, leave generational wealth to my grandchildren, that kind of thing, those should all happen if I put those things in the right order. That makes sense. So the other leverage, so we've talked about people leverage. Those are all huge. You got a big vision. People are going to want to come on board, work with you. You learn how to work with them, when to work with them. There's different personality tests and styles out there as well. Also, you don't want to mess up the timing. You don't want to go hire a bunch of administrative helpers before you're making any money because you're just going to go bankrupt. The next lever that I think is really important for you as a business owner is systems and tools. In our real estate business, we rely heavily on systems and tools. Systems would mean basically anything from our multiple listing service, websites we use, contract signature software, like some of you guys might use DigiSign or a dot loop, or there's several others out there that basically allow you to take signatures through your phone or tablet or even on your laptop. Those are important to us. It saves us a ton of time in the business. So if we're talking about levers, helping enable a client to save time, they don't have to drive across town to meet me, and I don't have to drive across town to meet them. And in multiple offer situations nowadays, we have the ability to make an offer quickly and get it responded to quickly and get it signed quickly so someone does not lose their dream home. Tools would also be automation. So when something happens, this happens, and when that happens, this happens. We don't have to recreate the process every time we have a new client, when we have a new listing, when we have a new sale pending, when a contract goes from inspection to appraisal. All these processes in your business out there, think about ways that you could use a leverage of systems, automate things as much as possible. The next lever is time. So, there's several ways to get time. I actually like Dan McCollum's book, Time Bending. It just came out here a few months ago. And he basically teaches you, how to supernaturally gain authority over your time, but then also how to make smart and wise decisions, how to do time blocking. Everyone knows about the 80-20 principle and how, 20% of your efforts can result in 80% of the results. So finding out, in my business, there's 5 key activities we can do every day. If I do those things every day, the time I spend is going to be far more exponentially productive. In the real estate business as an example, and this might apply to other businesses as well. But we need to learn scripts. So especially for newer agents, they need to learn, basically a script is, what do you say when someone gets on the phone? What do you say when you're in front of them at a listing appointment? What do you say with them when you're showing them their 30th house and they haven't bought anything yet? And they want to buy, but they just can't make a decision. Those are all scripts that we learn, and then it becomes kind of rolling off the tongue easy once you've learned those. The other one is negotiation. So obviously, I want to spend my time helping negotiate contracts. Another one is going on appointments. Those would be appointments for either buyers, sellers, or new networking opportunities to get more buyers and sellers. We also want to actually write contracts. That's important in our business. If we're not spending time writing contracts, then obviously we have a problem. And the last 1 and 2 would be lead generation and lead follow-up. So those of you that are in business, you have to do lead generation. I mean, either you're hiring it out in your organization or you're doing it yourself. A lot of people that listen to this podcast do Facebook as their lead generation source. It's free unless you're paying for the ads. You can do live videos. You can do other things to attract people's attention. But that's only part of it, is to do the lead generation, which is very important. But then the lead follow-up is also really important in whatever business you're in, making sure that if someone has inquired at some point, you're following up with them. Hey, are you still thinking about buying this? Hey, are you still thinking about listing your house? And I've had clients where I followed up with them for year after year after year, and I'm following up with them quarterly at least. And I've had people say, listen, you're the only real estate agent that's stayed in touch with me over all these years since I went to an open house 3 years ago. So I highly encourage you, whatever business you're in, make sure that you make lead generation and lead follow-up a big part of what you're doing. So that's part of the time leverage. In our real estate business, we also have listings, and I would say this could translate as well into other businesses. So in our business, if you control the listings or you have those under contract, then those are basically the ways that you attract more clients. In your business, it might be, if you're, let's say you're a restaurant owner, then you need to secure a great chef that everybody knows, or maybe you have a menu item that everybody is after, or a decor that's in style. There's some kind of way that you can leverage the product side of your business. And in our business, if you don't have products, you don't have a business. There's a lot of real estate agents that try to make a living on just going after buyers, and I'm sure there's a lot of success stories there. What I found is if you control the listing side of the market, then you can control the market. Next one here is investment property. So this one's a little bit more specific to the real estate business, but once you learn the real estate business, whatever kind of business you're in out there, actually this isn't just for real estate agents, because if you own a business out there, you have the chance to own the building that your business sits in. So you could buy the strip center, you could buy a mixed use property, you could buy a piece of land and build something on. You could own a condo in an office condo community. So there are ways to not only buy, your own building that you need to be in, but maybe even rent it out to others. So if you're taking up, and I have a real estate client that did this, he was taking up about 20% of a strip mall that he was in as a Chinese restaurant. And there was all these other stores and everything. So he went to the owner and said, hey, I'd like to buy the whole strip, because he did the math, and with his mortgage payment, with a little bit of down payment, he would pay just a little bit more per month on the entire building than he was on the lease that he was paying with the mortgage. And then he did the research and he found out how much each of the other tenants were paying, and they would pay the rest of his mortgage. So within 6 months to a year, he had worked out a deal. That property needed a new roof. Instead of the seller having to put out the money, this guy said, listen, I'll put on the new roof, I'll buy the building at a reduced price, and then I'll take over all the lease agreements. So here's a guy who is not necessarily, he's not a real estate agent, he's not a real estate broker, he's a restaurant owner, and he used investment property as leverage in his business. So now his cash flow is better. He doesn't have as many monthly expenses, and over the next 20 years, he'll have that building paid off. It'll be worth a couple $1,000,000, and he'll be a net worth millionaire. I'm sure he already is, but that's one that'll add. Okay, so another lever, guys, is affiliations and companies. So some people try to go at it on their own. Let's say that let's just use the restaurant owner mentality again. Let's say that you want to open up Derek's Burgers, and it's this burger place. Well, it's going to take a ton of advertising, a ton of people coming in and out of there for you to gain traction. It might take years to make a profit. Or you could go buy a Burger King or McDonald's or Subway franchise, and you're going to get the name and backing of this national organization. You're going to get their advertising, you're going to get their name recognition, and that's why a lot of people use affiliations with companies. Same thing goes in the real estate business. There are people that, go out and try to create like their own Derek Ty Realty, and I've never done that because I've always found there's more benefits to me with my situation to affiliate with a large national company versus a local kind of startup kind of name on my own. I know people have been successful in both types, and whatever business you're in, it's just something you might want to consider. The other part of the leverage in the affiliations and companies is chambers of commerce and trade associations. So I'm part of the National Association of Realtors. There are 1.4 million realtors, I think, as of today. That's a huge, I think it's the number one trade association in the world. So there's a lot of leverage and power there. They lobby Congress. They can, get big discounts on, travel, things like that. So, and there's, a voice out there for our industry. So whatever business you're in there, see if there's an affiliation trade group, something like that you could be a part of. And then I also love chambers of commerce. I was the president of our local chamber of commerce here for 3 years. I was on their board of directors, past president, all that good stuff. And I can tell you that a ton of good business happened in that chamber between business owners. So the last lever that I'm going to talk about today is the create a product or course. Now, you might be like, well, I'm just getting started, or I own a business. That doesn't make sense. Here's my thing is I believe that everyone has value to create out there, whether you're going to write a book, whether you're going to start a blog, whether you're going to do Facebook Live, start a Facebook group, Instagram page. I believe everybody can put content out there that's relevant to their industry. And this is a huge lever nowadays in 2020 almost here of getting a product out there that starts basically serving people when you're not doing it. So for example, let's say you created a top 10 list of top 10 ways to be the best burger owner in town, top 10 ways to get a listing, top 10 this or that. That's just one little start. Or you could write a book about your experience. The leverage that I'm trying to create in my real estate business is this last piece. I'm going to write a book on real estate. So I know there's 1.4 million real estate agents in the country. If they read my book and they go, wow, this guy is legit, he sounds like a nice guy, he's a successful business owner in Cincinnati, my chances of getting a referral from another part of the country to Cincinnati is pretty high. So if, let's say I'm in Topeka, Kansas, and I just read this book on real estate leverage and I go, wow, Derek Ty is pretty smart, he knows his stuff, I think, and I got someone that's moving to Cincinnati, I'm going to call Derek before I call one of the other 6,000 agents in Cincinnati. I'll call him because it sounds like him or someone on his team is going to take a really good look at this deal and make sure that they take really good care of the client. So this e-product, service, class, book, whatever you want to call it, that works for you when you're not working. So I'll give you another example of that. My wife, Jessica, she runs a very successful podcast, and I've learned a lot from her over the last, I think 2 to 3 years now she's been doing it. She's up to 400,000 listeners now, downloads on her podcast. And once she started getting kind of popular, she said, well, what can I do to help my audience out? Because she can't go one-on-one with 400,000 people, right? So what she decided to do was create a free book so she's a nutritionist, on I think it was like top 10 ways to start your healthy lifestyle and nutrition. So it kind of debunks some of the health myths out there, and it was really good. She gave it away for free and got email addresses. So now she's got email addresses. So then she emailed those people and said, hey, I've got this cookbook I just came out with. It's our family's top 40 recipes for nutritional lifestyle. I think a keto lifestyle is what it's called. And so she created this cookbook. Well, the cookbook is now being sold all over the world. You can do a digital download for $9.97. Then she created a $97 eCourse where she recorded, took her a long, long time to do this, but she recorded the episodes, she put them online, put them into a format where only you can get them if you subscribe and pay the $97. But now she has an e-course that someone can download right from the website. She doesn't have to call them. She doesn't have to email them. It's all automated, and that's a product that's now serving her clients at a high level, and she doesn't have to touch it. So that's definitely leverage. And then she's created some other online products as well, but that kind of gives you an idea of one from the real estate side of things and one from a nutritionist standpoint. So that basically wraps up my thoughts today on levers. If you are reading this, watching this, listening to it on podcast or on YouTube, just comment there, what kind of lever do you have in your business that you find that has been really helpful to you? I am super excited about 2020. Those of you that are listening to this in 2020, I'm assuming it's already been an amazing start to the year, but I'm super excited about what this year is going to bring for me and my family and my businesses. I do have one more request of you. If you're listening to this before the end of the year of 2019 and you haven't picked out a Christmas present for one of your entrepreneurial friends, would you please consider buying one of the books, The Lord's Prayer for Entrepreneurs? I'm really proud of the book. I feel like there's a lot of insight that God gave me direct downloads on for entrepreneurs in faith. So if you haven't bought that book yet, or if you did buy one for yourself, maybe consider going back to Amazon, or you can go through my website, derekty.com, to get a link to Amazon. You can buy the paperback version or the Kindle version, and I would be very honored if you would buy the book and read it and spread the message of faith and entrepreneurship. So that's all I've got for you for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'm really looking forward to what an amazing 2020 it's going to be out there. You guys have a great afternoon, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Kingdom Business Breakthrough Podcast. For more resources to help you grow as a kingdom entrepreneur, go to kingdombusinessbreakthrough.com. If this podcast has impacted you, be sure to subscribe and share with a friend.
To come, the Savior, Redeemer, the Father, the Son, 'cause the Spirit is on me, a fire within, Creator, sustain, begin.